just like Daniel mentioned as well, yes, there are people that have been creating communities. So I'm very happy to see that people are creating real things. They're building, and first of all, they've identified the problem and they've addressed the problem. So that's something that really makes me very confident in the fact that yes, people realize that and they want a solution. At the same time, I've noticed a lot of communities are struggling to really scale that concept. So we've seen individual communities that have found some sort of tokenized system, and they made it work to an extent. Of course, the challenges, but it's also working in some ways. But how do you take that beyond the single community? More importantly, how do you connect these communities as well? There has to be a better way. Not everyone is able to reinvent the wheel every time they want to get together and live together, which is why we're very happy that we are providing the tools for people to really make things happen.
Nice. I mean, we see this happening in Bulgaria with a German guy, Uwe, who basically is the head behind the. They bought a hotel, basically. An abandoned hotel was abandoned since 10 years in an old ski resort, and now they set up a traditional company, a structure like a cooperative where people can buy shares of this huge property. And I think they sold over 95% of the apartments already. And I think more and more of such projects will we will see more and more because people will leave cities just because they have the ability and maybe also the necessity. So this is something beautiful. Back in Bulgaria, the place is called Co-Living Semkovo, something like this. Um,
Yeah, absolutely. I met Matthias a few years ago in Bansko. So I had the opportunity to see they did co-found Matthias and Uwe co-founded a co-working space in Bansko quite a while ago. So they worked on that together for a while, and then they both started creating other projects as well. So I remember looking at Matthias' original plan, which was in Bansko. Then he pivoted that to Semkovo. And yeah, I remember I was invited on his podcast as well at that time. So I'm definitely very happy to see that people are making things happen. But again, he's putting so much energy and effort into something like this, and he had to invent a lot of things from scratch to even figure out what the system should be like. So the question we ask ourselves here at Co-Living DAO, how can we make this simpler? Because we don't want people to have to do so much work to do something that should be as straightforward as simply developing real estate traditionally, just with a normal mortgage and people buying a home. We want to make living in a co-living space and having shared decision making, having shared equity or at least shared value. We want to make that as simple as buying a home or renting a home, and that's why we're working on this.
Okay, and are you planning also to actually start your own co-living maybe at one point back in the UK? Or do you see yourself more on the software provider side?
As Daniel said, Dango, like one of the big challenges of creating a progressive community is that it's really difficult to scale past the first community, right? And so what we're doing at Co-Living DAO is we're focusing on building a mechanism to build a federation of co-living communities. So we're really focusing on the blueprint or the underlying foundation of how multiple communities could connect together in a federation. And yeah, we do plan to start our own co-living community, and it could be anywhere in Europe, pretty much. Doesn't need to be the UK. Europe's a good site for various reasons. Well, yeah, it's the best starting locations are likely in Europe. But that's definitely part of the plan. But we're really focusing on, okay, how can we actually build the federation mechanism, and we'll tell you about a bit about an exciting new development on how we're going to do that when we talk about the pop-up that we're going to have in Malta, where people will be able to come and contribute to building something that is a tool to enable a federation. So we can talk about that later.
this is definitely really, really interesting. First of all, I mean, we are gathering here under the name of United Network Nations according to the network state principle, which is about basically an update to our current system, how we organize our lives. And we see real estate, or basically our nodes or embassies, like the physical outlets, as one of the first building blocks. So that's why a co-living DAO is highly, highly important, because if we look at the co-living landscape, in a moment we will have probably close to 300 co-livings which are focusing on remote workers. And most of them don't own, most of them pay. And as I also help to open co-living spaces, and I opened my own co-living space, it's quite hard to generate that much revenue for someone else, because the profit margin is actually not that big. So I'm super thrilled, because we really believe in that humanity will get over the idea I belong to a specific country, maybe culture-wise, that's nice, but not in the sense I serve that. So we see this still as a preparation phase here, and we invite different building block builders like you. So this federation you were talking about, this is anyway what we want to do and what we already tried. Probably it was too early, but basically speaking with the co-living operators, what is your need? What are your problems? And then build your software around those. And that's often what we said, we can never own that place. Then secondly, how can we finance this? Community management. So yeah, tell us maybe now more about the pop-up and how you are planning to build that federation. Because my understanding in a moment is, and why we stopped a little bit, it's easy to bring people together against something. For example, we don't want to pay the property owner rent, they are all in. But then unite them towards something is a little bit harder.
Yeah, so one of the things people definitely don't want is they're tired of not just paying someone else's mortgage, really, because the issue is not helping someone else. We believe in win-win relationships. So it's not, we don't see really an adversarial relationship being necessary between landlords and tenants. What we what we realize is that after living for 6 years, 10 years, 20 years on a rental basis or in a co-living, people are really left with no assets and they just cannot catch up with cost of living, inflation, and everything else. So this is a big thing that people want to move away from. So something that we're building right now is while we create a blueprint for new co-living communities to arise, we are engineering a system where we can connect even existing co-living communities and start the value creation process. So for people that already live in a co-living space, or maybe they're about to join an existing co-living space, why can we not already utilize similar principles, just like a network state? Why can we not connect these communities and create a shared value mechanism where these people can simply earn by paying rent? So it doesn't cost them anything. They pay the rent, they're going to pay anyway. And we can reward that. And then if they want to contribute more, we can reward them even more. And that can happen through a creation of a token. And Gareth, do you want to introduce the concept and talk a little bit about Malta?
Yeah, definitely. So, the whole idea of a co-living DAO federation of communities is a lot of complex building blocks that need to be put into that. So we figured, okay, well, we can, as exactly what Dan just said, how can we start with building value right now today for existing co-living communities, and then look at the value sharing mechanism first, and then the governance and decision making can come next, right? So we've got to sequence this in the right way. And so if co-living residents and digital nomads, for that matter, because it can be super short term, like people stay in a place for a day or a few days, as well as weeks or months in the case for co-living residents. You can have super short term. Why not get rewarded for every stay? Why not gain rewards for free in the form of a token for each place that you go to? And so we're going to dive deep into this, and that's going to be the focus of our main core workshops at our pop-up in Malta on Gozo Island in March. And we're going to get everyone that comes will be able to participate in that process of designing, helping us to design and understand what are the critical elements that need to go into that to get it moving. So it's a really good opportunity for people to come in and join us and explore that and get involved and build a building block for a network state or a federation of co-living communities. So we start there, then we think that's pretty exciting. We can move much faster.
Definitely. Fun fact, all of the 5 beautiful faces have been to Malta already, or have some connection to Malta. So that's nice. Nat, maybe you have